Call of Duty WW2 Beta Let's Talk. We've got Apps and Logan here. Mainly going to be listening to Logan. Obviously, I've not sat down and played Call of Duty, but Mr. Logan, you were gifted a beta code. I can't even remember where it come from because I was pissed up when it was all kicking off in the group, but you essentially ended up with an opportunity to play Call of Duty World War II at the weekend. What platform was you on when you had a go of this?
The PS4.
PS4, so you got that version in there. And When was the last time that you purchased a Call of Duty game? Because it used to be a yearly ritual, and as time went on, I'm going to guess at Advanced Warfare, but I think maybe Black Ops after that may have occurred. I can't remember the timeline, but I'm sure you'll be right with me.
It was Advanced Warfare.
Oh.
I know Hall and Pee-wee bought Black Ops 3, but I could see that one being not something that was going to get played, and I was right. It didn't, rightly or wrongly, it just didn't get a sniff, so I missed that one out, and then I'm now back with World War II.
So had the code not landed in your lap, would you have been interested in playing this particular iteration of Call of Duty? Because I've got a feeling that you like the setting of it, that it is going to be World War II.
Yeah, I mean, regular listeners, especially to the podcast, will know that I've been bleating about World War II games for quite a while. Battalion I was excited about, and then obviously I got hyped up about Battlefield 1. So really, this for me was kind of like my dream. I used to love World at War, so CoD 5 World at War. We didn't play that much as a group. It was straight after CoD 4. I think everyone was on a bit of a downer and all still on CoD 4. But I picked up World at War and actually thought it was really good.
Yeah.
For some reason, some of the others didn't really like it, but it sort of...
That bloody zombies.
It did, yeah. That Zombies was the only real game mode that got played by everyone.
Yes.
Other people wrote it off as on the multiplayer aspect. But yeah, I really like that. So when they've sort of, obviously they went through the Modern Warfare stage, Black Ops, and it all got a bit silly for me. But I was kind of hoping that with this new one, they'd sort of go back to basics, back to their roots almost. And Battlefield 1 was a great starter for me, but I always still feel like the maps are a bit too big. I don't feel like they do play okay, but generally the team deathmatch modes don't play as well.
I find that this is just a real uninformed opinion, that having played Battlefield 1, obviously quite a few of the CoD iterations up until the recent ones, that if you're keen on large scale kind of objective based stuff, Battlefield kind of supplies you that area. But if you're mainly interested in team deathmatch, then Call of Duty hands down will win every time, because it's the maps are designed around that. You're right to say that Battlefield maps generally are a little bit bigger and their spawns are sometimes questionable.
Yeah, it's just they don't. Sometimes it feels like they don't scale down very well. I still feel like for the smaller game modes, where are 10 minutes long, they're still too big. And sometimes you can end up in an area of the map where there's no bugger, and you end up sort of getting ages to get back into the fight. And that's the only thing. That's not a criticism. I don't want it to become a Battlefield 1 Let's Talk, but it's natural to make the comparisons with both of them being out there. I was kind of excited with this one because you know what you're getting. It's going to be generally smaller game modes, close combat, get into the fight, get a couple of kills, die, and then respawn again. So yeah, I was pretty hyped for it. And if I didn't have that code, I was always lurking for it.
Yeah,
I think that's the point. But I think what I was hoping for was an open beta rather than force you to do the pre-order, which was a bit shitty for me. I really didn't like that. No. Like, chuck it out to the masses and do your testing there. Don't just make me pre-order it. It didn't feel great doing that, but I weren't going to be pre-ordering it and then getting that beta code and then going
Yeah.
So worst case scenario, I wasn't going to get that pre-order for it, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, it does. I don't like when they do that, but it does happen often for obvious reasons, that people will pre-order on that and then go, well, I might as well keep it on pre-order now, and then they've got someone already banked in. But you said you was hoping for a back to basics approach. Did they deliver on that front? Is CoD WW2 a back to basics approach in the way that you view it?
I would say yes. It really is it is much. It's compared to. I remember playing Advanced Warfare Online, and I was it was just too mental. Like, you just didn't know where people were going to be. Half of what Call of Duty is about is knowing where the pinch points are, or where roughly heads are going to be, and predicting where people are going to be. And some people might not like that predictability, but with a quick reflex sharpshooter like you have to be in Call of Duty, it didn't really play right, and it was all a bit too mental. But yeah, so on this, they're sort of closer maps. You have basic classes again, so you're back. You without getting into the detail, you basically pick it's more class based. So you've got 5 different classes, basically one for rifleman, infantry, and it basically pinpoints to each gun type, so LMG, SMG, rifle, sniper, and close quarters with a shotgun, and it gives you perks based on that. So it encourages you, for example, if you want to run around and kill people with an SMG, then you be that class and you can get a silencer, but you can only get a silencer on SMGs.
Yes.
So there's loads of different ways of doing it, but ultimately you've got like 4, or at least on the beta you had 4 rifles, 4 SMGs, a couple of snipers, a couple of shotguns, and a few LMGs, and the standard attachments. You only had a pistol really as a secondary. The rocket launcher was anti-aircraft. So yeah, it's really stripped back. Grenades, there's no mental jumping, none of that. It's basically close quarters combat with a weapon of your choice.
And that's good in your view. That's what you're after.
Well, yeah, I think that's what Call of Duty was always good at, and I don't know why. Like, Titanfall come along and sort of, for some reason, changed the landscape of first-person shooter, and having to do all this sort of free running and movement sort of become bog standard, and that's where where Call of Duty got snarled up for me. I thought, you've forgotten what you're good at. So the maps are well laid out. All the ones I played were good. There were some that encourage a bit more variety, so some with sort of long range alleyways where you can get snipers or assault rifles, and then there were some maps with trenches where you can really get that shotgun out with the flame bullets and really go to town and have some fun. So yeah, it was just really nice to play something that was stripped back just to do what it does best, really.
Yeah, that all sounds positive. You said you mainly played Team Deathmatch, which we all know how that works. Hardpoint, Search and Destroy. Some of the other classic modes are in there as well. And people who are familiar with the series will know what they are. But you also had a little go at this. Is it called War? Was it just called War? It's just called War mode. Tell us in a nutshell what that's like, and then perhaps your experience of that.
Yeah, so basically that is where, as people that have played Rush on Battlefield 1 will be familiar, is that you're basically on an attacking and then defending team. So you start attacking and you have to capture points, and then the final one is an escort to the end. Right. So I think off memory you have to basically capture 2 points. So you have to capture a house. Once you've captured the house, you move up to build a bridge. So you then go across build the bridge, go across the river, and then tell a lie, there's 4 points. The second one then is capturing sort of a forecourt of a house, and then escorting the tank all the way through to get rid of the big anti-aircraft guns at the end, so you can get air support. Right. So the idea is that you capture 3 points and then escort a tank to the end. And yeah, it's good. I mean, when you're attacking, you obviously, there's buildings and stuff. You've got to clear people out of the buildings. You've got to clear out the machine gunners and things like that, and obviously get on the point and capture it, and then move up to the next one. But it added a bit more variety into a Call of Duty game. It's not what you'd normally expect from a COD. No. But it is very team-based. I can imagine it being quite good. So the ideal is really that you have someone sort of looking at the windows, sniping out people that are on the MGs, and then you've got a couple of SMGs on the ground that are getting on the point and capturing. So it can be quite tactical. Yeah. And it was good fun. It was really well done, actually. I must admit, it's not really long either. So it takes about, I think when I was looking, it gives you the time you take for each section, and I think it's roughly 3 to 3.5 minutes per bit, but you can capture it a lot quicker. So they're sort of 10 to 15 minute games. Again, nothing massively long, and it was really, really well done. yeah, I haven't got any criticisms with it really. It just adds a bit of variety. I can see
Gives the
myself
option,
playing
doesn't
it.
it?
Yeah, I mean, you got the bog standard Call of Duty modes, the search and destroys, the hard
Yeah.
points, the team death, but it just adds that little bit of variety, especially when you're going back to a basics approach. They need to offer something new to the player that keeps it a bit fresh. So I think this game mode generally does it, but it will feel very familiar to those that have played Rush on Battlefield.
Excellent. One question that everyone will be interested in, considering you've not played one since Advanced Warfare, is did you hold your own, or were you getting obliterated by all the new young pups? Because a lot of these people would have been the pre-order merchants
Yeah.
that have been playing it for years, perhaps. How did you do?
It took me a while to get back into it. There was honestly one of my mates from work actually got it as well. He's pre-ordered it,
Yeah.
and I played with him. And I said I've always been talking to him at work, saying, "Oh, I'm a big COD fan. I used to play it loads. I put like 30 days into COD 4, like really giving him this impression of someone that was good." And I had literally the worst game when I played with him that I've ever had. I mean, I must have been sort of like 5 kills for 16 deaths, sort of poor. Like
My
really,
sort of stats, they are.
yeah, I really struggled, but he'd already put quite a bit of time in. He'd already put more time in when I played with him than I did the whole weekend.
Right.
And it takes you it takes you a while to get used to the guns, the combos, the pinch points on the map, where to be. So it takes you a while. So I think that was sort of my third or fourth game I played with him, a few games. But as I got used to the guns, where people were, what guns were good for what points on maps, I started to get a bit better, and I started to get some of the score streaks going. So, yeah, I'm definitely not as good as I was. As soon as I picked it up, I thought, "Core, really not as good." But there was people drop shotting me and all sorts. I was like, "Christ, I can't do that anymore." But it's funny how quickly your brain adjusts to it.
Yeah, no, that's good to hear. You mentioned there the score streaks. Now, I remember one of your criticisms towards the back end of the COD kind of franchise, when you was getting a bit fed up with it, was that they kept bolting shit on. All the kill streaks at the time were all, complicated. There was tons of them. And they was all getting a bit ridiculous. What were the score streaks like in it? Have you got a few examples that you could bring to us and kind of figure out whether they are in line with perhaps the setting and fun to get and good to get?
Yeah, so but basically the only ones I really tried, I didn't really get to, because you have to unlock stuff using tokens. So I was trying not to unlock score streaks, because I'll be honest, I weren't getting many, and I was trying to focus on unlocking classes and guns just to give those a go. But but you get the basic recon aircraft at, I think it was 500 score. I think it was 500.
Yeah.
And then you go from that to a what everyone would probably be familiar with, which is basically a Predator missile, but you essentially it's dropping it out of a plane.
Right.
So you're dropping a bomb, and then the last one, I can't remember. I think it's like on about 900. I think something like that, 900 score. You end up with the artillery barrage, and you can put that on an area of the map. So it's pretty similar to 357 that people are probably used to in Call of Duty in the earlier ones.
Yes.
But yeah, the idea is now that it's not solely rewarded on kills. So while in one life you need to build up that score through assists.
Yeah.
It also includes, you get recon assists for if people kill where you got a recon aircraft down, bits like that. So they've changed that up a little bit to reward people that get sort of like, don't get the kill but get an 80-point assist. Well, that still nearly is 1/5 of your score streak done. So yeah, they've mixed it up a little bit, and I think that works better. At first I thought, it used to be 3 kills you get your airplane, but now it's basically the equivalent of 5. But I still sometimes felt like there was a load of recon aircraft out there all the time. It's obviously not that difficult once you get on a little roll or in a spot to accumulate 500 points.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty much the bog standard stuff. You get some others that I know I got killed a few times. Instead of having a recon aircraft, you can basically have a Molotov cocktail, which has got quite a wide berth of flames. So yeah, it looks like they've kept it in line with the era. There's nothing there that I think, right, where's this coming from? It all was very periodic. So yeah, positive on that note.
Excellent. Well, I guess the final question is, where's this ranking on the sniffometer?
It's certainly on the sniffometer.
Was it registered? Has it registered a gauge, I guess, is the first question, because they haven't in previous years, and it sounds like this one has.
Put it this way, I haven't played a first-person shooter generally on my own. I've played a little bit of Overwatch, but not an awful lot on my own, and this actually felt like one that I was happy to play online on my own again, like I used to on old Call of Duties. It's very quick to pick up and play, so you can skip your kill cams and you're straight back in the action all the time. So it's very playable. It's something that you can pick up if you've got 20 minutes, play a couple of games and put it back down again.
Yep.
The difficulty is what's lurking already.
Yeah.
There's a lot lurking, so it's easy to make a rash decision and go, this is the one. And all of a sudden you've got Destiny 2 sitting there, you've got Battlefront 2 sitting there, and all these other games, and it's all of a sudden not getting a look in, and there's still that Modern Warfare remaster sniffing. So it's difficult, but it's very positive. It definitely feels like it's. I mean, I can imagine there's going to be lots of kids sitting out there going, "Oh, it's not got all the cool stuff." But for people like me, I'd probably say a hardcore franchise fan, if you like. It definitely feels like more of what I would want from it. But the trouble is, there's a lot of competition now.
Yeah.
There's
certainly
a lot.
This year, there's all sorts knocking about.
So
competitive shooter front.
It's going to be difficult for it to get a guaranteed slot, but depending on what pans out, it could easily get bought. I think it's not a guarantee, but it's definitely one of those that maybe over a weekend, if there's not a lot going on, I could easily go out and get it and buy it. I could easily play it, but it's just a case of whether it will get played, essentially, with all the other stuff lurking.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. You said that you seem like you had a good time playing it on your own, so that's always a good sign with these type of games, because then the reliance of us cretins isn't there to get the most out of it. You can still enjoy it by just sort of going on there on your own. Would you say that your viewpoint of CoD WWII was better or worse after you played the beta? Did the beta kind of improve your standing on it and think, actually, this could be, high up on my ranking list?
Yeah, it did. It really did. It was really good. There was no issues with getting into games. It just felt like the back to basics game that I wanted, and Battlefield was halfway there for me. That was very good, but this does feel it's basically what I wanted.
Yes.
when I've been harking on about it for so long, and they've all of a sudden given it to me, and I'm going, well, I might not get it. It's really difficult, but I think it's on the sniffometer, it's probably sitting at third behind Destiny 2 and behind Battlefront 2, and that's its problem, is that it just doesn't take centre stage anymore.
Well, who knows? I mean, I like the look of, I like the setting. I think it's good to finally go back for Call of Duty. It's been 9 years since they've done that. I think World at War was 2008, so to visit that 9 years later is always good. Obviously, I always like a decent campaign. I feel like the World War II's got a ready-built, good setting for a campaign. And then multiplayer-wise, I'd probably play zombies more than anything if I was to ever sniff it. But who knows? It's certainly more intriguing than what we got last year in Infinite Warfare for me. So, interested to see what happens. And perhaps if you go out and get it, then that'll be a good sign. Others will follow suit. One interesting note: you said that Advanced Warfare was your last Call of Duty game. Yeah, that was Sledgehammer Games. So the guys that are doing this one, that was their first game as lead developer on the franchise. So is that a sign that perhaps that they are the ones to be following in the 3 year cycles?
I'm sure I read that they did Modern Warfare 3. Or
they co-developed it, yeah. So essentially, I mean, I don't know this for fact, but my assumption was that was the time when Respawn were firing up. Yeah. So with Titanfall, half of Infinity Ward left, and Sledgehammer were there going, well, look, we can help out. So it's co-developed by both of them, and then they got given their own shot at it with Advanced Warfare. So
I did play a bit of Advanced Warfare, and it was pretty good. The campaign was really good on it. I finished that. Yeah. But I think that's when they started introducing the exoskeleton and jumping stuff, and I just went, nah, ain't for me. But they've done a solid job on this. As I say, there was no problems matchmaking.
Yeah.
Gameplay was on point. All the hit points were fine. I had no issue with them. So yeah, it feels like it's going to be another solid job. It's just whether it's received as well. I've got a sneaky suspicion that people won't respond that well to the back to basics. I reckon there's a big following of people that enjoyed all the bolt onto it that I didn't like, and I think obviously there's less room for manoeuvre in the customization you've got. You can't have all these funky guns in the middle of a World War II setting. So I think that's an interesting way, or an interesting thing for me to look at, is where are they going to go with that, because that's a big part of Call of Duty.
Yeah.
From revenue wise, I suspect anyway, they must make loads of money about people buying all these add-ons and toots. So yeah, I don't see where they're going with that, but be interesting.
There you go then. Call of Duty World War II. It's been listed as WW2. I don't know if actually on the case it says WW2, so maybe that'll be the official name at the end. Happy to take corrections on that, but that launches worldwide on all platforms other than the Switch on November 3rd. So I've got a little way to go. It gives you a little bit of room to get Destiny out the way with, that everyone's in full swing of now. But yeah, looking forward to see how that's received. That's the best way I can put it. And should it get well received, who knows? Maybe I'll want a World War One and World War Two game to complete the war collection. But it's stupid things like that sometimes that get me sniffing. So who knows? But obviously, if you go and pick it up, we'll certainly return with an in-depth look at all the different modes and features that it has. But thanks for joining me on this particular edition of Let's Talk.
No probs.
Everyone else, thanks for your time, and ta-da.